B.J. Panda.
Thank you, Madam. This amendment to the 7-year-old Cable TV Act is going to have a far-reaching impact on more than 4 crore households who have cable TV today, on the broadcasting industry, on cable operators, and also, last but not least, on government revenues. But at the core of this amendment, there is a simple principle. And that principle is consumer choice. Today, these 4 crore households, and if you assume that there are 5 people per household, we are talking about 20 crore or 200 million people who are impacted by this, simply do not have the choice of what they want to watch. Let us take a moment and dwell on this industry, which is a little more than 1 decade old. In these 11 or 12 years, this industry has reached these staggering figures of 4 crore households. Just to put it in perspective, compare it with telephones. Telephones have been around for nearly a century in this country. And in all this time, they have reached 4.5 crores. And in just 11 or 12 years, this industry has reached 4 crores. This is nothing short of stupendous. And this growth has been made possible by a combination of many factors. The broadcasters have to be given credit for this because they have invested thousands of crores in developing content which has taken Indian content in quality and quantity up to world-class standards. Today this content is watched not just in these 4 crore households in India, but across the globe, in Western countries, in Eastern Asia, in Africa, across the globe. And just as a member earlier complimented, today one of the major broadcasting companies has reduced its tariffs by 25%. I compliment them, and I also urge other broadcasting companies to take a hint from them and to take similar measures, which would be a gesture of goodwill towards the Indian consumer. In all of this, the government has had a very light touch, which I think has been a boon and a bonus for this industry. Like the IT industry, which has grown rapidly with very little government involvement, this industry also has grown. In fact, in the early years, there was no regulation. And in '94, the government issued an ordinance, which was converted to an act in '95. Initially, for the first half of this decade of growth, this was a tremendous boon for the Indian consumer, because they were used to watching a very limited broadcasting content. And in the space of 3 to 4 years, they had the choice of 20 or 30 channels, and the average cost in about 1997-98, after 4 or 5 years of this development of the industry, was only about 100 rupees. If you took rural areas, it was about 50 or 60 rupees, urban areas about 150 rupees. And if you look at the figures, around 97-98, you had millions of customers already hooked up for about 30 channels, already world-class content, paying about 100 rupees. But this was never going to last, because this boon for the Indian consumer was not in line with what is happening or what was happening in the world, in the rest of the world. If you look at the world model, the business model for cable television, madam, it's very stark. There are lots of channels all over the world. The majority of them are what is known as FTA, free-to-air channels. The broadcasters get their revenues from advertising. They don't charge the cable operators, and in turn, the consumers are not charged. The cable operators only charge the consumers for their own infrastructure and their own operating cost, which is the distribution cost. And this is the reason, because all the Indian channels, all the channels available in India were free-to-air. The cable operators were only charging their own infrastructure and operating cost, that the Indian consumer could get it at 100 rupees, large number of channels. So what has gone wrong? Just now, Shri Pradhan has just pointed out how these tariffs have risen. And let me just give a stark figure here. The first pay channels started with a very light sum of 2 rupees 50 paisa in '96. That was the only one channel. Then up until '98, it was still one channel. From '98-'99 onwards, most of the channels turned pay. And the staggering figure is this. After the Indian consumer enjoyed this great boon at a reasonable cost, from the year '99 till the year 2002, the increase in pay channel cost has been 1400%. From '99 to 2002. It has not been always a bad story. I was pointing out that for the first 5, 6, 7 years, it was a boon for the Indian consumer. But for the last 3 years, I don't think any industry anywhere in the world, forget about India, has had 1400% increase. But I'm not blaming the broadcasters. Anybody who creates world-class content has, in my opinion, has a freedom to charge what he wants to. But at the same time, the consumer has and must have a freedom of what he wants to buy and what he doesn't want to buy. This freedom the Indian consumer today does not have. And this is what this amendment is all about. I want to give another stark figure. Now, today, if you look at the number of channels, it has gone to about 140 or 150. But if you take out the channels which are not really relevant to India, like your Chinese and Korean channels and Russian channels, the channels which are largely watched, if you go by TAM figures, there is a stark figure. The ratio of the Indian viewership of channels, of pay channels to free channels, is 55%. That means what the Indian viewer watches in totality across the country, including urban and rural figures, 55% of that is pay channels, 45% is free channels. How does this compare with the world? Let me not compare with America, let me not compare with Japan, let me not compare with the Western countries. I chose Brazil to compare because Brazil is somewhat similar to India. In fact, its socio-economic status is slightly higher than India in terms of disposable income, in terms of earning capacity. It is also a largish country. In Brazil, today, in the year 2002, the percentage of viewership of free channels is 72%, compared to only 45% in India. This is where the crux of the issue lies, that the consumer must have a choice. Now, I have heard figures today that somebody gets cable TV for 100 rupees, somebody gets 150 rupees. I'm quite astounded, because if you go by this article by Hindustan Times, only on November 28th, if you just simply add up the costs of the pay channels, it adds up to 160 rupees. Only the cost of the pay channels. Now there is a cost to the infrastructure, there is a cost to the distribution cost, the cable operator is operating. So the only way anybody can get it at less than 160 rupees or even at 160 rupees is if the cable operator is fudging his figures. Now there are no heroes. There are villains all across this situation. But there is only one victim, and that is the Indian consumer. Actually, I am wrong. There are two victims. The Indian government is also a victim. Starting some years ago, there is entertainment tax in many states across the country. And starting this year, in this year's budget, there is service tax in the national budget. But the collection of service tax and entertainment tax is a pittance. That is because of under-reporting on the one side by the cable operators and these huge jack-up of prices by broadcasters where consumers don't have a choice. They have to either take it all or leave it all. Now, let me just give one example to dramatize what this choice is like. We all buy newspapers. And in this community, members of parliament, we are probably more interested in the news. We probably buy more newspapers than the average Indian family. For example, at my house, I get 5 or 6 newspapers every morning. And I pay for each one of them separately. My colleague Mr. Shukla is pointing out that he takes 10 newspapers. But the average Indian household, I'm quite confident, takes 1 or at the most 2 newspapers. Maybe 2 newspapers. Now we all buy newspapers according to what we need, what we can afford and what we want. How would it be if there was a situation in the country where everybody had to take 60 newspapers and the cost would be averaged out so that I pay the same as my driver and my assistant, whether they take 1 newspaper or 60 newspapers. That is the situation today. How would it be if one publishing house which has 30 or 40 publications, they say that you take all my publications or you don't take any of my publications. Again, I don't want to blame anybody here. The broadcasters are within their rights to charge what they wish. But we must ensure that the Indian consumer has the right and has the physical option of buying what he can afford, what he wishes to have. And at the same time, ensuring that nobody is deprived of this revolution that is taking place. This proposal provides that we follow the international model. It is true that internationally this is not always mandated. Conditional access system is often done by the market itself. The market, the broadcasters and the distributors, that is the cable operators, they work in tandem. They work as partners and yet the consumers don't get affected in those countries. In our country, it's a strange situation that the vendors of the content, that is the broadcasters and the distributors of the content are at loggerheads. And because they are at loggerheads, they are not suffering. They are all making out all right. It is the consumer who is suffering. And that we must not permit to happen. Now, We have talked about technology, we have talked about analog versus digital costs. I want to say something, madam, here. This amendment, at the core of it, is not about technology. Technology will come and go. Technology will keep changing. The core of it is a principle that the Indian consumer, the Indian citizen must have a choice. Now, the market should have allowed this to happen. The market has worked well in other countries. Unfortunately, in our country, in this market, it has not worked. It's a very odd situation. As the honorable member from Bengal was earlier pointing out, he is normally not a votary of markets, and yet on this issue he supports markets. It's an odd situation. I am normally a votary of markets, and yet I am supporting a motion for government intervention because the market has failed. Madam, we have, all of us, supported government intervention when markets have failed. When there is a failure in the stock market, we insist on government intervention. Why should we not support government intervention when there is a failure in this market? Now, perhaps this industry has grown so rapidly, but it is an immature industry. It is hardly 11 years old. And perhaps that is why the purveyors of the content and the distributors of the content have not yet worked out proper market relationships, and that is why they are in conflict. This is why the government needs to step in and mandate consumer choice. But I urge the Honorable Minister, please let us exercise restraint. Let us not use this opportunity to go in and mandate government intervention for a long period or at in-depth issues. Whenever government tries to mandate technology, it has been a failure. Not in this country alone, but in every country. We should not be mandating technology. We should not be mandating prices, really. We should be mandating, and in this issue, consumer choice. Now, what this will do is this will put the Indian cable TV market on par with the world situation, where consumers will have an access to, say, 30 or 40 channels, consisting of all genres or all categories. There was a point raised that the government is going to get undue powers to dictate who can watch what. That is not true. Please read the amendment. The amendment says the government can stipulate the categories which it has a right to do. It can stipulate, for example, that adult content will not be shown. It can stipulate that news content must be shown. It cannot say you show Star News or don't show Zee News. That is not permitted in this amendment. So let us be clear about this. Madam, I don't want to take too much time. Some so-called shortcomings of this have been pointed out by some people. I would like to point out that let us not, in anticipation of the perfect, delay the good. This has been delayed far too long, and I would like to end this in support of the bill, complimenting the Honorable Minister for standing up to tremendous odds in bringing this amendment to the House for passage, even after for many months it was passed in the Lok Sabha. Once again, I would like to compliment her, and in supporting her, I would like to urge the community of this industry, both broadcasters, cable operators, to realize that if they don't self-regulate themselves, then the government is bound to step in. Thank you.